The Detroit Lions did not have a third round pick or a fourth round pick, and suddenly they had a fourth round pick. They gave up a 2025 third round pick to move up back into the fourth round, and they take Giovani Manu, a left tackle that's just a monster. And we're going to break this guy down. If you're thinking, well, what college was he at? I don't remember this guy. He was in the British Columbia Canadian Football League. Here he is, number 76. He's 6'8" and super athletic. He had a 33-inch vertical. They had a pro day for Canadian football players, and I guess he was the absolute gem of that. And Canadian football can produce some things here once in a while, but I mean, this guy is huge. And remember, Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes said our team is our offensive line. So I thought they would go interior offensive line. That's kind of where we need some help and just need some depth. But we also need depth at tackle. You look at Taylor Decker's getting older. Penei Sewell, obviously an absolute stud, but the tackle position, we needed a backup tackle. Dan Skipper's kind of there, but who's our swing tackle that can help us? So I think that this is great. Jim Harbaugh said the offensive line is the tip of the spear. We all know that offensive line is incredibly important. So as you're watching these highlights, you're seeing a guy that is going to be interesting because measurables 100% there, athleticism 100% there. He didn't go against the highest level of competition. That's always going to be a concern when you just kind of curious what that looks like when you go against Daniil Hunter versus a British Columbia team. I don't even know. I know nothing about Canadian football, but now you've got Terrion Arnold, Enos Rakestraw. You got kind of two starters in the secondary. Then you go depth and more of a piece where you're trying to say, hey, look, we want to get really good players whenever we can. And so I was watching on the ESPN coverage and they went nuts for this guy in saying that this is one of the best kept secrets of the draft. Everybody really liked this guy, but you just didn't know offensive tackle coming from a different league. It's kind of tough. So they get a monster of a man, 6'8". You look at Joe Alt, who went 5 overall. He's about the same size as him, and he doesn't even really know what he's doing. In Giovani Manu. So that's what is good and bad. And this reminds me of the pick that they made last year for the defensive tackle in the third round, where it's like, I love the rawness of these guys when they've got the athletic ability, and you got to feel comfortable with our coaching staff as you get into the third and fourth. But we're only in the third and fourth, so I'm gonna play the opposite side where I like this and I don't. We're only in the fourth round. You can get a proven guy from, I'm making this up, but from Georgia, right, and still know what you have. But I think the ceiling in these guys is what the Detroit Lions are really looking for. So I was talking about, I can't think of his name. Help me in the comments. It's been a long couple days. The defensive tackle that we took last year, monster of a man, didn't play much. We really feel like he's untapped and we can mold him into what we want. Same with Giovani Manu here, where it's like he hasn't played a ton. So I don't know if that's good or bad. So the Lions give up a third round pick next year to the Jets, and they trade up from 164 to 126 to select Giovani Manu, lined up on the left side at both tackle and guard. So the guard is interesting. We need interior offensive line. We've got old, injury prone guys right now at center and guard. So I'd love to hear that he's played some guard. I mean, that would be nice. This guy, look at him. The T-Birds. Okay, cool. Why not? So part of me is like, well, most of me is like, all right, you got to trust Brad Holmes at this point, just in where we're at. And I think you just have to. It's like, all right, Brad Holmes traded a third round next year. I don't like that. Up for this guy. And he must have felt like we got to go get him if we're going to do this. And Brad Holmes, and that's kind of been the story of the draft up until this point, is he has traded up now twice in this draft, mortgaging. He is. I mean, mortgaging is the wrong word, but taking from the future to come up and get some players, which is interesting, and it goes against what I thought Brad Holmes was about. I thought he was all about draft picks, accumulating draft picks, and being really good. With the draft picks that you have, but instead he's like, nah, I'm gonna go get guys I want, and I don't care what it takes. It's like, okay, I didn't know that. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. More to come on this guy, but man, offensive line. I'm happy with an offensive line at least, and I'm still trying to get my bearings on if I like this or not. Let me know in the comments, and we'll see all of you on the next one.